What's up, scumbags? It's Brock and James, and we are living in a post-Rebels finale world. James, what is it like?
It's very depressing.
I'm depressed that it's done, but I'm also like, wow, what an ending.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Patatisco. For more of that, check out our review on, or not our review, like our as a collective review on I Rebel.
Well, we're going to talk about it later on the show, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So
but like,
give your thoughts.
Stop this one. Go watch that. Then come right back.
Come back. Spoiler alert, I give it 5 out of 10 because Ezra and Sabine, they never got into how they are raised parents. And so I'm very disappointed and I really thought that everybody involved would be more cognizant of actually telling us that they are raised parents.
Right.
But instead we have to wait until the next one to find out. Oh man,
what it was definitely good. Dave Filoni, you are a master.
And shout out to all of our female viewers today. It is International Women's Day today. We would not be anything without you, especially our moms.
Oh, yeah.
But happy
Crucial.
International Women's Day. We appreciate all of you. We love you all. I love it. Great day. It's so good that Erin, I asked Erin if she wanted to come on, and she said, I'm working.
Get out! That's how Erin sounds, or that's how James makes it.
Get out my rabbits! It's a great day.
My rabbits!
My
she won't listen to this.
Yeah, no, she will.
Oh, no!
It's over. You're going to get a mean text at 2 a.m. What are you doing? Great day in Star Wars land today. On my way here, we just did a flying casual earlier in the day. Went up, I think, at 1 p.m. Jonathan Favreau. Johnny Favreau, the director of Chef, is now doing a cooking show based on Star Wars. He's going to be doing
with Art Carney from the holiday special.
He'll be doing the live action Star Wars show on the Disney streaming site.
Ooh! So
check out our Flying Casual where we discuss that at length for 13 minutes. It's not really
for 13 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. So actually, Rio Durant is his name in Solo.
Yes,
and he is directing it. Awesome that they're keeping it in the. This is one thing, and I kind of briefly mentioned this on the Flying Casual, where it's cool that they're keeping this in the Star Wars family now.
Yes,
because he's Clone Wars and the Disney family as a whole too. It's nice that they're keeping it in there because the Game of Thrones guys were cool to bring in.
Yeah, but
now it's like because one of the questions was how much do they know of the lore, and now with Favreau you're like, well, he's got an idea.
It's like Disney's like the Yankees where they just stack and then win after. That's a sports one. That's the last sports whatever metaphor I'm ever going to make.
Well, you just watched Black Panther.
Ooh.
I saw Black Panther. I'm going to... Okay, so Ryan Coogler as a director has 3 films.
Yeah.
Black Panther could be his 3rd best film, and it's still a great film.
Yeah, I agree with
I don't know if I don't know if it's better than Creed or not. I haven't decided yet. Fruitvale Station, if you haven't seen it, is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's like it was made for like $14. When you watch it, you're like, this was made for $14. It wasn't really.
No, yeah.
But you can tell that the budget was low. Mm-hmm. And remember Imperial Dreams with John Boyega? I was like,
yeah,
it's the same type of story, but it just didn't hit. Coogler is a masterpiece. Do you want to see Coogler do Star Wars?
Sure. But I worry that if we keep saying like we got to put these people on the staff, it's like, well, can't you just let anybody make a movie? I mean, I didn't know much about who directed Rogue One.
Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, I didn't know anything.
Well, he did Godzilla, and it was a big smash.
I like that movie, so there you go.
Here's why I say Coogler though and this would fit maybe more into like maybe the Game of Thrones guys, maybe the Rian Johnson trilogy. But my question on this, the reason I bring up Coogler is because we talk about how it's serialized, and he just worked in the MCU.
Yeah.
If you remember, they tried to court Ava DuVernay to doing Black Panther, and she said no because she didn't want to be pigeonholed into what they wanted. Whereas Coogler was like, okay, I'll do it, and he still very much made his own movie, but it fits into the MCU. Yeah. And the way he did it, I thought it was really well done. It wasn't over the top where you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Yeah. Why does everything have to happen?
And it doesn't make you think of any social injustice. It's just like, it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's about these characters.
And it's fun. Yeah. And it has a good time. And And that's the focus of it. And that's why I think Ryan Coogler in Star Wars, you need somebody who can work in that environment.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say here. And he's 3 for 3 on his movies.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
Well, I liked Chronicle quite a bit. Isn't that him?
That's Josh Trank.
Oh shoot!
He was supposed to.
Michael Jordan. Michael B. Jordan's in that, and then I got confused.
I will say, I gotta say, because Josh Trank was going to do Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And he did Fantastic Four, obviously, and Chronicle. And Michael B. Jordan, I think the directors that get best performances out of Michael B. Jordan are Coogler and Trank, actually. Although, if you haven't seen that awkward moment, Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller have a chemistry. I don't know if they'll ever do anything ever again because Miles Teller kind of went crazy and whatever. But like, they have this chemistry,
it's true,
and
it's not bad.
I'm guessing they like each other in person because they've been in a movie. And I'm just like, put them in a MCU. Well, I guess it can't be MCU. Put them in a movie. Anyway, that's not Star Wars. Put them in the Ryan Coogler directed Star Wars film.
Yeah,
Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan. Bam! Yeah. I'm in. All in on that one.
Yeah, sure.
As the Cad Bane Boba Fett movie.
Oh my god!
I don't know which one plays which, and I don't care.
Exactly. Because you can't see either of their actual faces.
All right, let's go. We have to talk about this really quickly.
Patreon. Hey, we're pretty cool. Why don't you give us some of your money? No. We have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. Check it out. This is not easy to make. We tried to make our show as best as possible, but it's also great to have a little bit of help. And if you appreciate what we do, we would gladly love your sponsorship. Patronage is the right word. So if you become a patron of us, there are 4 tiers. Tier 1, you get early access to all of our shows. We'll send you a link, and you also get exclusive ability to watch our soon-to-be cloning around show where we rewatch Clone Wars. We are working on it. I promise. I'm sorry.
You've actually been doing your research.
I have been doing my research, and I am very excited about this show. So, we're gonna really put the elbow grease into this one, hopefully. But we are still in the research stages. But it will come. I swear. Work is slowing down, so maybe I'll have time. Tier 2, you get everything prior, obviously. And also, you get to see Andrew Fantasia's supposed documentary on Star Wars, which it does exist. I promise it is coming.
And he sent me pictures I was going to put up now of his database that I keep raving about. I'm going to put that on Facebook for now. I'll show you guys next week because I forgot to put them in the show notes. And obviously the graphics right now aren't even working. But I'm going to put that in. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. You can see his data. It is. He didn't even send me all of it. He sent me 3 or 4 or 5 pictures. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Tier 3 is all of that stuff I've mentioned prior. Plus, if you have fun emails, suggestion, theories, anything, send it to us and we will read it on the air, on the pod. And our final one. Oh, I didn't put prices. So tier 1 is $1. Tier 2 is $2. Tier 3 is $3. Tier 4, the highest tier, is $10. Now, I know what you're saying. Wow, Brock, that's a lot of money for 2 guys talking at a camera. I know. But then you could be on the camera. That's right. At tier 4, $10, you get all of that stuff prior. Plus, we will have you as a guest on any of the shows you would love to be on. If you're local, great. If you're not, we'll Skype. Whatever. But if you've watched our shows in the past, Den Allen, Janet Rubio, all tier 4 patrons, correct? Yeah. And have been on the show. So check it out. That could be you.
Totally. Also, every single person that is a member of our Patreon right now,
oh yes,
is entered into the draw to win the Last Jedi Blu-ray giveaway. The winner will be notified soon. We'll announce the winner on the air next week. Yep. So if you guys are looking to get on that, you can get onto Patreon by the end of what day is it, Thursday? Friday at noon, we'll announce the winner.
Friday at noon.
Eastern time.
Eastern Standard Time.
2 a.m. Pacific?
Mountain Time.
Mountain Time. So that's what we'll do right there. We got to start the show with some, I think, sad but obvious news.
Yes. John Williams.
Where did that come from? See, the graphics aren't working today. There we go. Wow, how did that even get live? John Williams says goodbye.
Spoilers for news. We talk about Michael K. Williams.
This is why we need Patreon, so we can get computers that
exactly.
work.
Do not edit this.
I'm not going to. My computer's in the shop is the problem.
Yes. It's in the computer shop.
Yeah.
John Williams is retiring from Star Wars or just music in general? I know the story is Star Wars, so he'll continue to. He's not fully retired.
Episode 9 will be his last Star Wars film. He said that was. He said 9. What he said 10 Star Wars movies was enough.
Yeah,
because he's doing the solo theme.
Right.
So I think 9.1 is enough for him.
Yeah. But could the gentleman he's working with, I cannot remember his name. I feel like you would know.
John something.
Could he take over that, or he's not exactly composing it, or how does it work? I don't really follow the music stuff.
I don't. So John, who did a bunch of other stuff, that's really good. But look, Episode 9 is the end of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
it's the end of Star Wars as we know it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because look, the spin-offs don't have the crawl. Mm-hmm. We don't know if the Game of Thrones will have the crawl. We don't know if Favreau's show will have the crawl. Rebels didn't have a crawl. So Clone Wars didn't, obviously. Yeah. So who knows what other, if any other Star Wars will ever have a crawl. It's hard. I think we would. It's hard to imagine it with any other music. I think it'd be kind of intriguing to hear it with different music other than the Star Wars theme, like a new Star Wars theme. It would take. Look, you thought The Last Jedi split people. You start a Star Wars movie with different music, woo! But sometimes you gotta make changes though, and so and if you're gonna end it 9, the end of the Skywalker saga, which really started it all, is a good place to go. And I don't know who they would get to do the next one, if there even is one standalone, because I think a lot of people thought Giacchino would be the guy. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
Yep.
Alexander Desplat, who originally was doing the Rogue One score, just won an Oscar. Congrats, Desplat, for The Shape of Water, The Shape of Watts.
A monster movie won Best Movie of the Year. Fantastic.
That's a fair tale.
Oh, it's a good movie. I'm not, but it's just like, yeah.
And the Oscars are changing.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's time. I think it's nice. Look, he's getting older. Eventually, he has to stop doing them.
Yeah. I
talked to Andrew the other day about it. Like, Kathleen Kennedy is going to have to step down eventually.
Yeah.
Even if she doesn't, just you get to a point where you're like, okay, it doesn't have to be right away, but eventually you get to a point where you're like, George Lucas did it. You're like, okay, enough's enough. I have nothing. And I love the Last Jedi score, but a lot of people have said this. It does play like a best of album in a lot of ways. Right. It's not like Rey's theme is excellent, but it's not Imperial March. It's not Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
Does he still have that in them? I would imagine he does. He's John Williams, but he's not. It's I don't know. It's look, 9.5 movies is great.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's sort of like, he's done enough. You get to a point where you just go onto autopilot. But let's not forget, and John Williams made a lot of other, like Superman's theme, Indiana Jones, Schindler's List, Harry Potter.
His best score, Hook.
Yeah.
Catch Me If every Spielberg movie except for Ready Player One.
So he's made a lot of music, and maybe
Jaws.
It's not Jaws. But Jay-Z said he retired, and that was 15 years.
I think this is a little bit different. That's what
This is his Black album. Is
that
what it's called? I think it was
John
Black
Williams
album.
is going to own the Brooklyn Nets. That's it. But anyway, thank you, John Williams, for everything. We will talk about you in a little bit. Captain Phasma deleted scene on the Star Wars show. Did you see this?
No, you actually told me. So explain it again.
So if anyone hasn't seen it, if you do not want to hear me talk about the Captain Phasma deleted scene and our thoughts on it, because you want to wait for The Last Jedi, I think next week it will be included in the digital copy, or if you're getting the Blu-ray at the end of the month. If you want to wait for that, the graphic on the bottom will change when we're done talking about it, so you can skip ahead if you want.
Yep.
But basically, it's an alternate version of her death. Don't worry, she still says you were always Scum, and he says Rebel Scum.
Yeah.
That is still in there. That is what is important. That is the beginning of our show once we get our hands on that film. However, it's different now is, and I don't know when this would have been, so she gets her head smashed in, and the helmet's like ripped, and you see her eye, and she goes, oh, Finn, blah, blah, blah. That's actually the dialogue. And then Finn says, oh, you squealed like a pig at Death Star.
Murder
Planet. What the hell is it called? Yeah, Star Killer Base. Wow. He goes, you know,
it's called Murder Planet.
Yeah, and he goes, I know what you did. You know, the minute you were in trouble, you put those shields down. He's like, I know the truth got blown up with it, which I like that aspect. I like that they acknowledged, first of all, that scene is weak in The Force Awakens and it makes Phasma weak. They acknowledge that she's actually a weak individual.
Yeah.
Which is cool because that makes a character trait out of her and not just the character. It's a trait now, which I liked. And I also like that they acknowledged that any evidence of what she did was destroyed along with the plan.
Yeah.
And then she goes, like anybody would believe you, a scum like you or something. And all the stormtroopers kind of look at each other, pull up their weapons, and then she shoots them all.
Yeah.
And then she like knocks Finn down, and then she goes, you were always scum. And Finn goes, rebel scum. And then I guess like a rocket launcher like blows her out of the sky.
Instead of just falling through the floor.
Yeah, she's like, but she could still be alive because who knows. But anyway, look, when I watched this, there was a few things. One, I'm not a Phasma hater. Like I said, the end scene in The Force Awakens is really what weakens her character the most for me. Because it's like, okay, she's a hard ass, but the minute she's in trouble, she just lowers the shields. And then this one kind of acknowledges that, which I liked. However, I felt there's a reason why it's cut, right? And the execution of the scene as a whole wasn't well done.
Oh, really?
I didn't feel like I felt. Look, the special effects aside, because the special effects aren't complete, obviously.
Right.
Like you can still see like the green screen's all done, but you can still see the lighting on Boyega is not.
Yeah.
They haven't fixed that bottom. But besides that, it just mean when the stormtroopers all look at each other and then she shoots them, it's really choppy.
Yeah. It's funny because like it's a deleted scene, so they actually did it. But as you're describing, I'm like, oh, I'm glad they didn't do that script. I'm like, they did. They shot it. It kind of works with the Phasma comic, which I have not been keeping up with, just because I don't know. But like it explains like how she gets off Starkiller Base and how she's like, well, they're gonna think I betrayed them, so I'm gonna pin on it. So it kind of creates the idea that in her character that she's sort of like, will do whatever it takes to like stay ahead or like just not. She believes in the First Order, but like she will go to any ends to have her way, which is kind of interesting. And I just read the novelization of it, and it kind of briefly hints at that a bit. But you do get the sense of like it's very interesting that like a lot of the First Order leaders, you know, Hux, Phasma, and Kylo Ren, I suppose, even Snoke. They all like they're so high and mighty, and they'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. So, again, novelization, read it; it's amazing. We'll talk about it later, but like, really fleshes out those characters that we only get like almost brief moments with. Like Phasma's almost not in Last Jedi. You know what I mean? But yeah, it kind of works. I don't know. I think the thing I don't like about it is it doesn't make Finn look that great. Kind of sounds like he's like maybe it's worth it. I'd have to watch it, but then like the First Order troopers just like giving in, like they're pretty brainwashed. I don't think.
Yeah, that was like I said.
Seems weird, you know. What I mean?
It wasn't well executed.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
I like the acknowledgement of that mediocre scene in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But the execution was rushed.
Yeah.
It was like, take your time. It's a 2.5 hour movie. What's an extra minute?
But then you got to remember that scene. Like things are blowing up. BB-8's in the walker. People are shooting at them. Like.
But none of that's in this clip.
Oh, none of that's
this clip.
But that's supposed to take place during that, or is that whole thing rewritten?
Well, who knows what the idea would have been? Like, because the whole thing is on fire around.
Is everything on fire in that scene?
Yeah, but it's like.
So it's not prior to.
No, it's after. But
after.
It feels weird. It feels like it's almost like there was a beat that like they would have cut away and come back, and like things would have transpired, and we would have been after something. It was weird. I would like to see it in context in the movie. Like, give me the scene before this. I don't need to see the whole movie with it, but the scene. But like I said, the execution just for me wasn't there. But I liked aspects of it. I liked where they were going with it. I thought it fleshed out Phasma a lot more, made her more cowardice, which I actually kind of liked.
Yeah.
Because she's brainwashed, but she doesn't want to die. I think that was really what they were showing, and I think that is an interesting concept for a villain. You know, someone is like, hey, I'll do whatever, but whoa. When push comes to shove, I don't want to die.
Interesting.
I come before the First Order. But that was it. But let's go on to this one right here. This is Jacob Nixon, Patreon. Jacob Nixon asked if we thought Finn or Poe could be force sensitive. What the hell is going on here?
It's still recording. We kind of froze there too. The
Finn or Poe force sensitive.
We've talked about this before. I still don't think it's necessary. I think it's an interesting, because especially like both their back. Well, Poe specifically, because we know in Shattered Empire, Shara Bay is told by Luke to take care of this force tree that they're gonna grow on Yavin 4. So maybe, and he's such a good pilot, perhaps that could be affected. But the reason I want to stay away from it, because it's like they haven't like Foe. That's Finn and Poe together.
I love it.
Poe, he knows what the Force is and he respects it, but he doesn't. He has no focus on it. So it just seemed weird to just bring it out of left field, especially like a lot of people's reaction to The Last Jedi is like, "What? Everybody's a Jedi now?" I'm like, which is not true, but like everyone's like, "Oh, everybody has Force powers." So like, why would we do that? With Finn, again, like especially again novelization. Oh god, I loved it. By the way, he's clumsy, so it's like a Jedi isn't clumsy, and I think people focus on that so much because Force Awakens, he had that lightsaber, and so much of the marketing. But again, I think we said too. It's like that's all like a bait and switch sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
No, is what I'll say. Okay, of the two, Poe is the most likely to be it. But if he wasn't, and there are hints in The Last Jedi that kind of acknowledge that he knows that maybe, but he hasn't been trained in it. So the idea that maybe that's Rey in training. Oh, frick. We're shipping everything today. That Rey could train him in between whatever the time gap is between 8 and 9 is plausible. I don't think it's possible, is what I'll say. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Poe is a great pilot because of his Force nature in a lot of ways, like because he was around the Force, it is with him. He just doesn't know how to handle it, like you said. Like doesn't have. Finn, on the other hand, Finn is so much more interesting without the Force.
Exactly,
you would totally ruin him as a character, and you can argue whether or not he was in Last Jedi because people have Finn, but you would ruin him as a character if you give him the Force because. The one thing with Rey is I find Rey of the new characters to be the least interesting because hey, I have the Force, I can do whatever, and I know it's acknowledged a little bit in the book. In the other books and everything, and you can guess, but it's still kind of boring. It's like, okay, so the Force just kind of happened with her. Like, there's no, and I'm not saying she's a Mary Sue. I don't want to get into that topic. No. But like, it just kind of happens.
It's because it's already been established with Luke, so you don't really need to re-explain how. So it's sort of like.
But she's a new character, and it kind of would be nice to see.
It would be, you're right.
And that's what I mean. Like, and so if Finn just all of a sudden accuses the Force, why is that interesting at all? Isn't it more interesting to have an average Joe named Han Solo and get a Solo movie, and just be like, you know what? I don't have the Force. I saw the First Order for what it really was. I escaped the First Order, and now I'm a big deal. In the Resistance. It's way more interesting and intriguing that way than just like, well, I was able to do it because this cosmic thing is floating around and I tapped into it and blah. That's boring and that's lazy. It's like I love Han Solo is one of my favorite characters, and everyone knows #3rd best Star Wars film. But he's interesting because of his lack of the Force, because he doesn't believe in the Force for a movie and a half. You know what I mean? It takes Luke Skywalker and all of that for him to admit 40 years later that it exists, because he was like, no hokey religion.
And even after that fact, like Han still didn't agree with the Force because like Luke says like, oh, I trained Ben, and like Leia was okay with it, but Han was being Han about it. It's like he's still, even after what he's witnessed, he's still like, I understand why people don't really like Finn in Last Jedi, but I found him the most interesting of the three characters because you're like, this was like, oh yes, I see the comparison between him and Han. I'm like, especially him running, but like he's not running because he doesn't want to act. He's just like, this is all a failure. Like, look at what's happening. I gotta go do something because I can't sit here and wait for us to be shot out of the sky or orbit. he isn't betraying the resistance. He's just, his allegiance are to other things, and he doesn't think anyone can satisfy that besides himself. So I found him quite interesting in the movie. But yeah, this is where I will just take the easy out and say, yeah, we don't need that many Jedi, even though you know the fact that if we had gotten a Jedi Academy or Jedi Counselor or whatever in this movie, people would have loved it, because that's all we want. We want more Jedis. I mean, you could argue other things, but we want more Jedi, so we have more lightsaber battles. The end.
And they want the opposite of that. They want the opposite of that with this new trilogy. That's what's, you're like, then you know, whatever. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. Let them finish this story. They have, and the word came out last week or earlier this week that J.J. Abrams, Daisy Ridley let it slip, and I wish she would just sew her mouth shut. And Rian Johnson just stopped. Everyone needs to just stop talking. Yeah. But she said J.J. Abrams wrote a treatment for 8 and 9. And Rian Johnson obviously took that and was like, well, I got my own idea. Which, fine. I mean, he got hired to do the movie himself. Exactly. He wasn't hired to make J.J. Abrams' movie, as much as, you could be like, well, blah, blah. No, and we don't know what was in his treatment. No. Maybe Snoke died halfway through his treatment. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? So we're gonna get Jedi, and we're gonna get light side and dark side, and they're gonna be colliding, and there's gonna be 100 lightsabers. Maybe not in this trilogy, but in the next one. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe in Jon Favreau's show, though I doubt it. But I mean, who knows? Jon Favreau might be like, "Look, all I want to do is Jedi Wars." Yeah. He's like, "This is all it is," and that could be it. And who would be against that? Nobody. Andrew Fantasia. Andrew Fantasia. He's the worst. He will not read the Last Jedi Novelization.
Andrew? Hello, Andrew?
Guys, get on the comments and tell Andrew to read the Last Jedi Novelization. Yeah, he reads every book, and he won't read this one.
I mean, again, we'll get into it at comic books and comics, but after reading it, and I read it in 2 days.
Yes, you did.
And I had to work both days. So I was reading while working. This should be packaged with the Blu-ray. Like, a copy of the book should be with the Blu-ray, because it's like, you can't have one. You have to have both. Like, it just... I'm floored. I've never been this, engaged by a novelization. But anyways... What's up next, James?
Oh, I turned it off. So Rebels ended.
Rebels ended.
We have to talk about the Rebels ending. And these two characters specifically, Ahsoka and... Are those spelled right? My graphics are not working today. I can't even.
Because it wouldn't be Ahsoka.
That's how it autocorrects on my phone. It's Ahsoka. Look, so I've given my thoughts on the Rebels finale. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get up for a second...
Okay.
And you talk about your thoughts of the Rebel finale, and I will be right back.
Zoom out on me. Camera 2, and I'm pan over here. We should totally do that. I loved it. It was great. It's what I find fantastic about Rebels is they can have a season where you're like, that was good. That was just sort of like just enough to keep you coming back. But they always end this show on an amazing ending. And there's 2 amazing endings to an extent, the final showdown between Thrawn and Ezra, but then also the aftermath, the prologue is what happens after that? Ahsoka showing up, I mean, we kind of figured she would come back since they brought her back 2 episodes prior, but she comes back in this cool white cloak with staff, and then Sabine and her, we're gonna go find him. So that's fantastic. But then also that really stood out for me. But seeing where all our characters end up, and that I think constantly talked about well, they probably all die off by the end because we never see them really in other things. Though Hera has been really put into later canon. Now we see her in Rogue One, or we see the ghost, and her name is mentioned in Rogue One, and it's also through this episode, and then the Forces of Destiny, it's mentioned she was at the Battle of Endor, and of course Rex is there as well. It's really interesting. It was nice to see the end, and then we also see she was apparently pregnant and now has a son named Jason Syndulla, spelled like Jason from Legends of Jason and Jaina, the Solo twins. that's really nice. Like, it's doesn't mean he has to be anything. It just, hey, remember this name? It's there again. Hooray. So it was really, really great. It's a show that makes me want more, which I guess is what you want. Like, I wonder if they just write the ending to all these shows or the seasons ahead of time and then work backwards. Because, like, we'll get them with this. So, it's pretty impressive. Like, I think it gave you the resolution you wanted on the characters, but then you got to see a happy ending to an extent, or you wanted more. I was satisfied with Thrawn's ending as well, like, because it's sort of he's been defeated, but he might not be defeated, so that's kind of works for me. But yeah, it's so open-ended. Like, they're both sort of pretty mortally wounded, I would say, but we don't see them die. So I would love a book, you know. I don't think the next series is gonna show these characters, because I think they try to, like, separate them to an extent. But I think Sabine and Ahsoka following them or looking for them in a book or comic would be fantastic. And Rebels is done. Now we can go and do some crazy stuff, you know, like, let's do season 10 of Buffy, but for Rebels. So it's like, we're not constrained by some TV thing. We can do whatever we want. So that would be fantastic. I would love that. I think, though, in the next series, we might see an Ahsoka. Not main character, but I think she should be the constant throughout all of the series.
No, that'd be awesome. I think she should live in animation.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
That's what I think. Yeah, that was a great ending. Jason Sindula, what a nod. I hope he is I hope he's Snoke.
One thing kind of hit me, and then I reread it when I was looking at synopsis of the last scene in the last episode. The Callus Zeb ending, where he brings to see where the Lestat are living. And I was like, when he puts his arm around him, I was like, wait. And they said, apparently the internet's a buzz about it too. It's like, maybe they're romantic. Did you get that sense at all? Or did you kind of like, wait a second?
Well, on the shout out once again to Austin and High X Ghost for sending me links to watch these things.
Yeah, thank you.
It airs next week, as I've said a million times.
Yeah, what? You weren't kidding. I thought you were joking, and then I was like, hey, it's recording Rebels, and it was last week episodes. I'm like,
4 years, it's never been like that. The last 4 episodes are like that.
Yeah, what the heck, Canada?
Yeah, seriously. So, shout out to those guys for giving it to me. Little piece, but not really.
I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, like, you know, we all know how I feel about the Reylo ship, and like, we put these two together. It's like, oh, just because they like touched each other, just because they touched each other, that means they're romantic. But I that's just the vibe I got. I was like, interesting, because like, you know, think about it. It's like they hated each other, and now similar to Reylo, they hate each other. Now they like each other. Then they have personal contact, and he gets to meet his parents. They're not the parents.
But the voiceover also kind of tells you that Zeb was kind of helping Callus out in a way to get over the fact that he thought that he ended his species.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I just brought that up because I'm like, oh, people thought the same thing. But
of course,
hey, that's cool. Whatever.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that's the thing. It's open-ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Faison, though.
Hold on. Before you get to that, what are your thoughts on a book about maybe Sabine and Ahsoka, or a comic series following where the Rebels left off?
That's where I was going with Donald Faison.
Oh, great.
I don't want to read it in a book. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and the reason is because these two characters are television animated series characters, and like I just said about Ahsoka, that's where they should live. And look, there's Ahsoka novelization. I haven't read it, but I've heard mixed things, mostly negative things about it. And not that it's a terrible book, it's just not, you know, it's like
what you wanted.
Yeah, and I think you get that in the animated stuff. So about Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra and Thrawn, and we're gonna get to Ezra and Thrawn in a little bit and never tell me the odds. But where I stand in all of this is I'm nervous about the future. If you watch the Star Wars show where they show the deleted scene of Phasma, Donald Faison of Clueless and Scrubs,
Kick-Ass too,
and I believe Big Fat Liar.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's at the screening on Friday that a lot of critics and people in Hollywood got to go to, and he says, "Hey, Dave Filoni, when can we get the Ahsoka and Sabine spinoff show?" And Dave Filoni goes, "Would you like that, Donald?" And that's the end of that. So, but here's my thing on that is, as soon as you see it, you're like, yes, bring it. But the fear is, we all now have an idea, because Ahsoka more than anything is now a mysterious being in the galaxy.
Yeah,
she's not just a Padawan, a Jedi, not a Jedi. Like she's something else. She has that staff. Selfishly, we want to know more.
Yes.
But when we learn more, there's the mystique now, because when she comes back, that's like heavy. Like it's like, whoa, she is not a person anymore.
Yeah.
Like she has transcended something.
Yeah.
And so if we get this show with Sabine and Ahsoka, does Ahsoka now, that mystique, does it lose that mystique? And we're like, well, because there's going to be an episode or two where we're like, ugh. And they'll that's how every show is, right? You always have the one or two. Space Whales came back.
Space Whales.
I loved it. But you know what I mean? Like, does the mystique of Ahsoka, do we lose that if they do this series? Or is it better left unsaid?
I think I said this a couple episodes ago because of this new introduction to like the time space bridge or whatever it was, and she's sort of stuck there. It's now she can kind of transcend a lot of things. So as much as, like you said, we want to know more, but like I don't think that should be the next series. I think she should be comparable to the Bindu, or in a sense Yoda, where you go to some obscure place to meet someone and they like, okay, you have this much time, this is what we're going to tell you, and then move on, sort of thing.
I'll tell you what I'd want to see is a story about Ahsoka in between Ezra saving her from Vader and Sabine. Yeah. Because where is she in the original trilogy? Yeah. Because I don't think she just ignored it. I've said this before. I'm like, Ahsoka's not the kind of character that would just be like, oh, there's crap going down, I'm going to stay here because I am not a Jedi. No, she's the first Fulcrum. She basically started the Rebel Alliance. She's more than all of that. So for me, I would like to see what it was, even if it's just like a one-off for their streaming service, like a 1 hour long.
That was something I was gonna bring up. It's like, what if it was just a movie that explains like the search for Ezra or something?
So, but I mean, just Ahsoka, like where she was in that time, kind of be like, well, she wasn't involved in all of that stuff because she had because Yoda would have known she's out there, right? That's my thing. Is Yoda would know that she's out there. Yeah. So if she's not gonna come to help, or Yoda doesn't know, but I think Yoda would know. Like from what we've seen in Rebels, Yoda should know that she's out there, right? So, and it doesn't have to be an over-the-top explanation. It could be something cool, like, well, I was over there, training this, or Bendu. She's like, I'm Bendu level now. I'm not going to intervene in.
That's what I mean.
But the question is, why does she come back to help Sabine get Ezra?
Yeah, exactly. It's like she's got one foot in her human role and one foot in this supernatural role. So it's like she kind of exists in both planes for some reason, her not being around in certain things, it's like it kind of also talks about like, Clone Wars, she's cast away and then she kind of disappears for a few years. Maybe she prefers that. Maybe she understands her role in the universe, but she's also very comfortable with being isolated or something. I don't know, something along that. But again, a character that like I said earlier, I'm watching Clone Wars and you just sit there and like, wow. The episodes were like, she's like complains like, I just want to be a Jedi. I'm like, you have no idea. You start crying because it's like, you have an amazing future ahead. So
you don't know what you're in for.
Yeah. So it's it dumbfounds me because we've said it before. This show is for kids, but makes me feel feelings. I loved it. Fantastic.
It was awesome. All right, let's move on to
Never Tell Me the Odds.
Don't worry, the odds of the next graphic working. Oh, there they are.
Boom. Yeah, 50-50.
Seriously, this is a nightmare right now for graphics. Anyway, we'll use that one. So the first odd today is brought to us by the Den of Nerd.
Den of Nerds
Roundup. If you're not watching it, you should. He donates all of his pop figures to us weekly.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Okay, first odd. The odds of Ezra and Thrawn being explored further.
I think they'd be silly to not. I mean, we're getting a new Thrawn novel.
I mean, together.
But together, I know what you mean.
From the space whale moment forward.
Like, you can't just, like, close the door on Thrawn. He's such a fan favorite that you'll make money off for years. I'm gonna go full Brock on this because like I said, I think a book would be good or maybe a comic book series, but I don't know.
I'm gonna go full Brock as well.
No, go ahead.
No, just because, Andrew has an idea that they go to his Thrawn's homeworld, see Eli and stuff there, and they have a good time. Not really. That's what he thinks. He thinks that that's where they go, and I like that idea. I kind of have this feeling that Timothy Zahn and Filoni and whoever else worked in that, maybe some of the story group, obviously, they're like, these are our points for Thrawn.
Yeah.
And may have the Thrawn novel. Now we're getting the Thrawn novel with Vader, which I don't think is going to take place after Rebels. And then you have Rebels, where Thrawn is now defeated by the hands of 1,000 cold arms or whatever. And now they're in the unknown region somewhere. There's more to Thrawn. And this is one, unlike Ahsoka and Sabine, where I would be okay with this being a novel, because Thrawn is kind of novel and animated now. And I'd be okay with it in a Timothy Zahn novel with a forward by Dave Filoni. That's for me. But I'm going full Brock on this one.
Yeah, I feel like it's something they're putting on the shelf for, like, it's in a folder on the shelf. And it says definite money maker. So like when they run out of new ideas, they're like, here you go.
Yeah, so that's what. I'd be down for whatever though, because I like them both. All right, next odd. The odds of a Snoke prequel film. If you've not heard, Andy Serkis.
Yep.
Andy Serkis did an interview with EW where he said that he knew a lot more about Snoke's backstory, but he was not allowed to talk about it still because they want to save it for perhaps a prequel film or something.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get a Snoke prequel film because I think fans are so pissed off with Snoke that they have stopped giving a crap about Snoke. That is what I think. I am going to go 35% on a prequel film. I'm going to go 100% on us learning more about him either in a book or in episode. I think we should learn more about him in episode 9, whether it be a conversation by somebody, because we have to know why Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia knew who this guy was and allowed Ben Solo to be corrupted by him. We need to know that. That's an answer that we need. That needs questions. So that's right.
I agree on your 100% and a book, but I'm going to go even lower, 10%. I think as much as I love Andy Serkis, beautiful role in Black Panther, but I can't see a movie strictly about him. Maybe he shows up, or maybe we've already seen him and like later on it'll get explained, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, you know. And our final odd today is from Patron Nick Costello.
What up?
The odds, this is my favorite odd, because I'm going 190%. The odds of Greedo appearing in Solo, a Star Wars story.
I agree on this too. When I read it, I was like, 100%, no cocking, just put him in there for like 1 second. You're like, oh. But yeah.
100% fan service, and I am okay with that.
Yep.
Because every once in a while, it's nice to just give me what I want.
And it makes sense too, because then you're like, you give more context to why that gunfight is so.
I thought it'd be even cooler if Greedo was like in the team, like if Rio Durant was Greedo. I'd be like,
right.
I mean, I have no idea who Rio Durant is context wise, so it probably doesn't work. But if Greedo was like in like his crew, that'd be so cool.
That makes me think now, like, wouldn't it be amazing if Solo was just Ocean's 11?
It might be.
What is Woody Harrelson's character again? Garrick?
Yeah, Derek, Merrick. Carrick. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
It's like Garrick's 11.
We'll get comments in the below.
Yeah, I know. I apologize. I am old.
You're old.
You're old.
So we're both going like, there's no question that it's happening?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
All right,
Nick Costello.
Let's move on to
Holo News. Happy New Year.
The graphic was in here and now it's not.
No, I know.
I don't know what to tell you.
Let's open my laptop. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So, news. Solo Cup merchandise. So, did you know that Star Wars makes money off things?
No way.
Yes, way.
But nobody likes Star Wars anymore.
So, this story was interesting because he's like, well, we're gonna do stuff with Solo Cup. I think, was that the point, or is it just making a joke about it? Because it's talking about merchandising.
Well, that was
for
the
Solo.
name. That was the production title was Solo Cup. Remember they?
Right. Sorry. So there's probably a good chance that they'll do work with Solo. Or what? Solo is gonna be merchandise. It's just gonna happen. Deal with it. But anyways, in regards to just merchandising in Star Wars in general, like Force Awakens and Rogue One, those two movies together, people spent $262.9 billion on licensed merchandising, because it's just sort of the Star Wars way of doing things. With Star Wars having made $1.3 billion in global box office so far, that there's a good chance that they want to make that amount of money also with Han Solo, with like $1 billion hopefully. But this is a George Lucas thing that was put into place when he was selling his movies to 21st Century Fox. He said, you can pay me this much if you give me full merchandising rights. And we all know where that went. The Kenner action figures alone made George Lucas a lot of money. So yeah, this should be cool. It's interesting. There's a lot of math in that article, so I won't bore you with it. Next story, Michael K. Williams, the face you saw earlier in this podcast, was doing an interview with EW Morning Live Show on Sirius Radio, talking about a couple of his new projects. I believe he's on a show called Hap and Leonard, and he mentioned Star Wars. He originally was supposed to be the motion capture Dryden Voss, which we were very captured by. We're like, ooh, Quinlan Voss? Which originally was supposed to be a motion capture character, but then when Lord and Miller were fired and Uncle Ron came aboard, due to his schedule, Michael K. Williams was unable to come and reshoot. So Paul Bettany took over his character as a live-action person. So he said in the interview that it saddens him that he will not really be in this film, because he did a lot of great work with Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, and Alden Ehrenreich. Apparently a lot of stuff on the Millennium Falcon, so that's interesting. He says, we all had these amazing scenes together, and I thought it was a great opportunity, and I thought it was some great stuff. It's unfortunate the world won't get to see it. So apparently it was good stuff, but actors, they think everything they do is great, but he is a very exceptional actor. It is unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And this is going to be one of those IMDb trivia. It's like, this movie was supposed to have this, but then this happened. So it's interesting to actually experience it. Next story. You've probably seen these magnificent posters for Han Solo, but you also notice that they are a complete ripoff of some CD covers. Hakeem Bauhaus, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, artist that did a series of album covers for Sony Music in France, as you can see on the picture there. Funk, jazz, electronic funk, and soul are clearly ripped off by the Han Solo posters. He stated, I am flattered that the quality of my work is recognized, but is still pure and simple forgery. I have not asked for my permission. I wish to be credited and paid for this work I have done for Sony. And it's, with one look, you're like, it's blatantly a ripoff, even though both are very, very good. And I mean, not that I do my own stuff, but this is pretty simple photoshopping. Once you have these pictures, you just put the picture in the Word, but they're both sides are really, really good. So it is unfortunate, but Disney has announced or put out a statement telling Hollywood Reporter that they are investigating this plagiarism, and the posters were created by an outside vendor, and it's something we are currently looking into. So Disney is not shirking this off. They understand that there is some malfeasance. I guess you could say. Either way, they're all awesome posters. So yeah.
I would say Disney has deep pockets, and they are going to make this go away.
Yeah, because they're like even these CD covers are really cool. So I still love the poster. Like, yeah, I don't think it's worth getting rid of them. So let's keep them. In our final story, Andy Serkis knows things about Snoke that you don't know. He was talking. I forget. You said EW. He was Entertainment Weekly, and he was saying. During the filming of both Force Awakens and Last Jedi, he sat down with both J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, talked about the Snoke character. With Rian Johnson, they talked at length, apparently, about backstory. And Andy Serkis is sworn to never tell them, because obviously we can't ruin the possibility of Snoke coming back. And then if Andy Serkis says, this is what happens, and that doesn't actually happen, we're in a pickle of sorts. So, because we will we will pick it apart once we do get a Snoke story. So, but yeah, Andy Serkis was like, I love this character. I would love to come back, but obviously he's been taken out. So maybe in the future, maybe, who knows? But yeah, so he knows stuff. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to find out the backstories made up that were then kiboshed later on. That would be an interesting, like, Star Wars books. Like, oh, Han was supposed to be this, and Luke said that instead of doing this. Like, oh, that'd be crazy. So, but
I'd be down for that.
That has been the Hollow News. Here we are again. Hello.
Hey, so that's books and comics time.
Books and comics.
And we're just going to talk. I'm going to let Brock really do this one because you haven't spoken enough yet. But you read a book recently that you read a lot, and
I try.
You read pretty fast.
Yeah,
but I don't remember the last time you mentioned you read a book this quickly.
Yeah, and I read it on a phone.
Like maybe Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
great book.
Really good. Glass Elevator.
That's what I was going to say. That Charlie and the Glass Elevator, great sequel. Where's that movie? Tim Burton, get on it. Maybe not. So. We'll do a high ground on the novelization, a full review of it. But give me, and give everybody watching, not too many spoilers.
No.
But a few of the high points that you noticed in this one.
Spoiler free. This is the book you need to read. Regardless of if you feel this movie, if you want to read a Star Wars book, you have to read this. Like, I am not joking. I said earlier, all the Blu-rays should be packaged with a book, because that movie becomes slightly better depending on your preference of it. There's so much more details added, and I know that's not a new concept with the book, but especially in novelization, like, you occasionally would read them and you get a little bit more. This goes out of its way, and when you look at the actual book, if you go on like Amazon or Chapters or Barnes and Noble, it's called the expanded extra. What's it called?
Expanded edition.
Expanded editions. There's so much more. It's not just like, oh, this is what happens when, they were sitting on the bridge, or like, hey, do you like Cheez-Its? I love Cheez-Its.
That would be a great edition.
Yeah. I mean, there is these little pieces of information that we'll talk about in our high ground, but it's so good. It's crazy. Like, I read it in 2 days because I couldn't stop reading it. I had to work around reading. Like, I was working and on break reading this on my phone. On this thing here, I was like, oh, yes. But, like, not only does it make the movie better, but it really connects a lot of Star Wars properties together. There's mention of things from comics, from video games, from other books. It's whoever let Jason Fry do this. I mean, and we know that apparently him and Rian Johnson talk quite a bit. But, like, whoever got him into this place and said, hey, go do this, and then, like, I think this guy is a very talented writer, but, like, there had to have been more people like, hey, could you put this in? Because it's not a lot of, like, extra details. It's just, like, mentions, and you're like, yes.
Yeah, like, we praise Filoni, rightfully so,
yeah.
But this is Filoni level. Like,
yeah.
You're like, it's almost like he read all of the new canon, and then was like, well, here's my book. And he wrote it. And they're like, I told Andrew yesterday on one of our videos, I said, this is an instance where it's almost like the movie was based on the book, and you read it and you go, and then you watch the movie and you're like, wow, the movie's not as good as the book.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it felt like. And This is for people who like the movie too. It's just like it added so much. It makes you understand so much more. And
scenes are extended, new things are added, characters are fleshed out. Like, I look at all these characters in a new light now, and I would suggest this to anyone. If you wanted to read you're like, that was a pretty good movie, like, here. Like, people that wouldn't, like, say, oh, you should read Ahsoka, or you should read from a certain point of view, or, you know, Phasma, or so I wouldn't suggest that to normal people. I mean, I would talk to James about it, but, like, this book, people need to read, because it's easy to follow if you've seen the movie, but then you're like, wow. So
yeah, it was
amazing. Like, to have the finale of Rebels and this book come out in the same week, you're just like, wow.
And then Favreau announced.
Sorry, I haven't even fully comprehended that yet. Like, wow, what a week.
Star Wars is alive and well. Mm-hmm. So we'll do a high ground on the book in the coming. Maybe next week we'll do it when people have a chance to.
Yeah. We don't want to ruin it. It's excellent, and all our fans and patrons will love this. Like, everyone that's listens to us on an active basis, like, read this book. Spend the money to get it. Top 5.
Today's top 5 are brought to you by the Den of Nerds. Once again, he will be buying all of our patrons copies of the Last Jedi Novelization.
Do you think if we say his name enough, we'll get, like, some of his, like, ad revenue or, like, just internet clout, you know?
No, but he did watch our Jon Favreau review, and he says you're whiter than he is.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you need.
Yeah, no, I don't know why you didn't iris me down, but here we are.
Because you said it was fine.
No, I didn't say it was fine. I'm tired of arguing with you.
I usually just iris down if you tell me to iris down. Nothing's working. All right, top 5 today. Top 5 Rebels moments. The finale obviously came and gone. 4 years of our lives spent with these characters. These are our top 5 Rebel moments. My number 5, Kanan's Jedi reveal, season 1, episode 1. When he was like, well, that's not all they'll be surprised about. Freddie Prinze Jr. is a Jedi.
Yeah, I love that episode. And I think mine is, yes, also from my top number 5 is Saving the Wookiee Family in episode 1. I saw this at Fan Expo 4 years ago, where it was the first time I had ever known who Dave Filoni was. So it, like, opened with him in that stupid cowboy. No, it's not stupid. But I remember, like, this is pretty fun. This is it's a kid's show, but it's kind of fun. And then they're like, we're going to save the Wookiees. I'm like, I'm in. But yeah, like, a lot of really cool, and it's really fun to think about where that episode started and where the last one ended. Like, wow. So
yeah, and it ended the way it started with Sabine instead of Ezra on Lothal. My number 4 is the death of Darth Maul. This was something they brought in Obi-Wan Kenobi. They brought in Darth Maul. They had a way of. There was a few characters that felt out of place and forced in, but they had a way of bringing in Star Wars fan service characters organically that made you go, oh, this works. And then Darth Maul's death, they gave him the nice ending. They put him away to put him at ease, and he got to ask, because he, the chosen one, just a moment of clarity for him. And I really liked the way it was handled. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah. My number 4 is Evil Ezra, specifically
Snoke.
The opening, the opening of season 3, where, like, right after he cuts his hair, but when he has the Jedi holocron, but, like, just the opening scene where they attack that Imperial base, and then he just blatantly kills people, and then he controls the ATST to turn around and shoot them, and then fall off the whatever that was into the chasm. I'm like, there's no bars, there's no railings on these things. And I was just like, wow. So
my one issue was it was never touched on again.
Yeah, it was fun, but then they never
went back to it.
They pushed the idea of, like, Ezra's evil, or he's being affected, and then never really played out.
They're like, whoa, no, he can't, because he has to save everybody at the end.
But as a moment like that, watching that episode, I was like, wow.
Yeah, we did it. We were only on. We were like a month into our podcast, and we were both like, that was amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 3, World Between Worlds.
Is that the space bridge?
The whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a moment.
It is a moment when they're in there, and
yeah, it was great.
They introduced this idea that you can see other areas of time, but then also reeled it back and said, well, not really. Like, you can, but when you touch something, everything is affected. And I thought the way they handled that was brilliant.
Yep.
Obviously, they brought Ahsoka back for a reason, and we still don't know what that reason is, and that's what's exciting. But I thought that whole thing was really cool when you saw the father, daughter, and the son. The whole thing was awesome. The doorway, that old guy that was not Vanny from Rogue One was awesome.
Malcolm McDowell. Yeah.
That was a great moment.
My number 3 is the duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, their final duel. I remember the marketing for that episode was like, they're coming back, and you're like, and then the duel itself takes like all of a minute, 30 seconds, and I was like, well, that was kind of. But then like a couple days later, I was just thinking about, I'm like, that was pretty fantastic. So like, and then the end tag of the episode where Obi-Wan's on a dune watching Luke at the large farm, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So really good, and just their dialogue after he's been slain. He's like, is he here? It's like have him avenge us. Like that's awesome. So
yeah, season 3 was a great season, except I feel like with the Clone Wars, how it's like it's out of order. There's another order of that season where it flows.
Interesting.
No, I don't think there is, but no, because I felt like the Darth Maul stuff was early on and then at the end, and the Sabine stuff happened too quickly.
Yeah,
like, I think if they had a little bit more time, they could have spread that out differently. Because Sabine's exit that season doesn't have the impact later on. No, right? I'm back. You were gone for 30 minutes. You were gone for a 22-minute episode, but the show's great. Number 2, Sabine's voiceover in the finale.
Yeah,
best way to end the show. It ended everybody's storyline, let you know what was going on, and then left it open enough that you're like, I want that show, I want that show, and I want that show. And that's it.
My number 2 is just Chopper. I have never been. I guess it's like R2, but Chopper is just so much fun. Like, I guess maybe because his beeps and boops sound like a voice, sort of.
It's Dave Filoni.
And it's Dave Filoni, so that's really cool. I always like the idea of a droid being more aware. Another thing about the novelization, BB-8 is very interesting in that book, so look out for that as well. Wow. So I was gonna make an honorable mention, but no, Chopper kills it. So
Chopper did not make my list, but what did make my number 1? So I might get some hate. Season 2 finale. Darth Vader on top of the TIE Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love that moment so much. He's on top of a TIE Fighter flying down, then he fights Ahsoka, and it's awesome.
My number 1 was your number 2, is the final prologue scene in the finale, specifically the reappearance of Ahsoka. We talked about it earlier, that, there's no dialogue besides, Sabine just narrating, and you're like, yes. It is dumbfounding how they can make a character made strictly for animation so engaging, and I want to know more. Why does she have a white cloak? Is she Gandalf? I don't know.
She is actually the mother of Jason Syndulla. Spoiler alert.
But I also had other honorable mentions. Zeb. Zeb is a fantastic character. What did I write down? I have 3. The Fulcrum Legacy. And Bindu. So, the whole Fulcrum being the Bendu, Callus, and then before, whatever.
I love the Bendu, but the Bendu is, and this is season 3. It was, season 3 was great moments, but then there was and that's what the Bendu was awesome, and then the way he ended was it was right. What, Thrawn shot him? Yeah. You're well, that's great. Thank you for that, I guess. Because he's so awesome, and
then he makes that prophecy for Thrawn, and then it does play out at the end. So.
And that's the genius of Rebels is, and I said this with the space whales. Everything happens for a reason on their show, except for, as Din pointed out on Facebook, except for AP5 singing in space. There was no real.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. So many good things.
That is my honorable mention. No, but everything. I remember when the space whale episode came, and I watched it. And I was talking to Rob. I'm like, that was a pretty good episode. He goes, I hated the space whales. It was a filler episode. And I was like, was it? And of course, nothing is filler on Rebels. No. There's no filler. That's what's so genius is they do something. And it might be, when they wrote Space Whales, that could have been a filler episode. Yeah. And then they were wise enough to go, well, they have to go back. Yeah.
Apparently, Sabine has a Purgle thing on her after the fact, and I really want to get it because I didn't notice it. I just read about it, and I really want to get a good look at it. I should just rewatch the episode.
Well, we'll get it on Monday.
Yeah. Well, how amazing would it be if the the Rogue logo that she makes is actually just a Purgle, and you're like, but it's not. Anyways,
let us know what your favorite Rebels moments are in the comments below. This has been 84 episodes of the Rebels.
84, the year I was born.
Brock, James, really?
1984.
You are old, sir.
Big Brother. I missed that last night.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Big Brother can't.
Did you see the Bachelor finale?
No.
Oh my God.
If it's not Big Brother, get out.
It was amazing. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. James, Brock, this is the Rebel Scum Podcast. We'll see you guys next week. And Brock, you were always scum.
Star Wars Rebels Scum on Disney XD.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.